So if you guys could go back in history and give advice to your younger self before you started your businesses, the biggest piece of advice that you would give yourself, what would that be?
May seem cliche, but I would have thought a little bit bigger. I've only been in door-to-door for 10 years, but I didn't have many goals early on. And when I had big goals, I was able to reach them pretty quickly. And I think you'll hear people pretty often that have reached a higher level of success say that they would have thought bigger, they would have dreamed bigger. Because if you're focused, you're goal-oriented, you're using affirmations, visualizations, you can make stuff happen so fast in your life, much faster than you think. Sometimes you'll overestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year, but you'll underestimate what you can accomplish over a period of 3, 4, 5 years with just consistent, persistent action. I didn't have a whole lot of direction early on. I could have made it happen a lot faster had I known that. So write that in your notes. Become a goal-oriented person. Visualize these big, crazy-ass things happening for you and the timelines associated with them and the actions that are going to be necessary for you to reach those goals. And it's like magic can happen for you.
Just to piggyback off what he said real quick, when you visualize, don't think of the how, because if you think of the how, you'll rob yourself of the dopamine release that happens. And really, it's the dopamine release that gets you hooked on going after something. It's like a drug, but imagine if you got hooked on going after your dreams. Most people's problem is when they visualize, they think of how. And the minute you think of how, you're going to psych yourself out. But to your question, I think for me, if I could go back, would be having a mentor. I'm big on you could only receive what your mind can accept. If your mind can't accept something, it's never going to get it. And that's where there's two ways to build your identity. Number one is putting yourself in circumstances that demand more than you think you're worth. But number two is by association. And that's why personal development is so important, because personal development allows you to associate with people and you get to take their best practices, and when you apply them, you will begin to manifest who those people are, because your mind begins to accept that it does deserve more. In 2016, I finally surpassed my self-worth. The company started making so much money that I couldn't accept it anymore. And what happened in 2016 for me, I brought myself back down on purpose, self-sabotaged myself back to what I really thought I was worth. What happened was in 2016, this self-limiting belief came back that I had sort of suppressed for many years, which was I didn't think I was very smart. The reason I didn't think I was very smart was because the school system made me believe that I wasn't very smart, because I graduated with a 1.8 GPA. So as the company started making more money, I started thinking, shit, I'm not this smart to be running this company. And I ran away from being a leader that year. But my mind kept telling me, you need to go back to studying on your mindset like you did at the call center when you worked from 15 to 21 years old. So long story short, I picked up a book for the first time in 20 years. It was called 10X by Grant Cardone. At first, I couldn't read it because I'm not the best reader. So then I got the audio version, couldn't retain it. So I literally had to write 75% of the book out. When I wrote 75% of the book out, I was like, I retained the info, but more importantly, I was like, wait a minute. Everything that's in this book, I already did. I just didn't know how to articulate it. This dude's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I should be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And what happens is, if you can get your subconscious mind, so this is your conscious mind, and this is your subconscious mind. If you can get your subconscious mind to align with what your conscious mind is saying, you will attract all the right people to make the impossible possible. See, your subconscious mind is always, if you want to write this down, your subconscious mind is always going to prove itself correct. Again, your subconscious mind is always going to prove itself correct. Whatever you deeply think about yourself, you're going to prove it out. So at some point, you got to do something different to make you think different. And for me, that's why, like, that's the biggest, I mean, luckily I've been able to grow on like a lot of common sense stuff, but if I could go back, and I would have just got a mentor that was doing better than I was. And here's the thing, people think like they got to become your friends. Nowadays, you have access to all these people. They don't even have to know you're their mentor. One of my best friends is Ed Milet. I never talked to him about business because I've studied all his material. Like when I get to hang with him, we just hang as friends. But I know everything about him because I've spent the time studying everything that he says. And what's great about when a lot of it is reaffirmation for me. Like, wait a minute, I do know how to run a company because this guy's got 70,000 people that he's running. And some of the things he's doing is the stuff that I'm doing. So I must be pretty good. And that's, again, if you can get your mind, I'm going to repeat this again, you can only receive what your mind can accept. So that's why it's so important to get your mind to accept that you deserve more. And a great way to do it is by looking at people that are doing better than you, taking their best practices and start to apply them.